minute. 1 minute. Almost ready.
Okay. All right, good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you for coming here today for this announcement. My name is Ed Fair. I'm the Provincial Operations Director at BC Transplant, and it's my pleasure to be the MC for this morning's event. Before going further, I wish to acknowledge the ancestral, traditional, and unceded Aboriginal territories of the coastal Salish people, and in particular the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations on whose territory we stand. To begin, I'd like to introduce our invited guests, who you'll hear from shortly. Greg Kyllo, who is the MLA for Shuswap, and the Parliamentary Secretary for BC Jobs Plan to the Minister of Jobs, Tourism and Skills Training. And he is here on behalf of Todd Stone, the Minister of Transportation Infrastructure, and the Minister of Health, Terry Lake. Leanne Appleton is BC Transplant's Provincial Executive Director. Jeanette Carusi is the Manager of Operations and Customer Service at the Insurance Corporation of British Columbia. And we have Elaine and Yong and her daughter Addison. And Addison received BC Transplant's first ever pediatric heart transplant here in 2011. I also want to recognize and welcome the transplant recipients who have joined us today. These are the people who most directly experience the positive impacts of the partnerships that we are recognizing today, and I personally want to thank you for joining us today. So to get us started, it's my pleasure to introduce someone I know who is a passionate supporter of donation and transplantation in the province, Greg Kyllo, the Minister MLA for Shuswap.
Well, thank you very much, Ed. It is great to be here today. As you know, we're also joined today by some friends of ours from the Kidney Foundation of Canada. So thank you guys for joining us this morning. I'd like to acknowledge those that took time out of their day for joining us for this great announcement, and a special thanks to the folks at BC Transplant. I'm happy to be here today joining Ed, BC Transplant Director of Provincial Operations, and Leanne Appleton, our Provincial Executive Director at BC Transplant, along with Jeanette Carusi, Manager of Operations and Customer Service at ICBC. Special thanks to Elaine Yong, who is here to tell us her personal story on why this program is extremely meaningful to her and her family. And Addison is just an amazingly strong and vivacious, very energetic 5-year-old who is probably the tallest 5-year-old I think that I've ever met. And today what we're doing is we're celebrating a huge success thanks to the hard work of everyone that's here today. And we're also building on the momentum of that success by expanding the program and talking to customers at ICBC driver's license offices about organ donation. So in order to explain the program expansion, I just need to give a little bit of background. 50% of British Columbians believe that they've registered for organ donation, and unfortunately only 21% have actually registered on the BC Transplant website. Many years ago, it used to be a decal on your driver's license which would register your decision, but now you must register your decision at BC Transplant. So many people believe they're actually registered as an organ donor, when in fact they're not. In March 2016, ICBC, BC Transplant, and the BC government teamed up on a pilot program to try and get more British Columbians to register their wishes on organ donation. The pilot was launched at 4 driver's license locations: Vancouver Royal Centre, Abbotsford, North Vancouver, and Kelowna. The partnership raised awareness of organ donation through conversations with customers during the driver's license offices. Employees wore t-shirts to promote the message, live life, pass it on. And they also handed out registration and information materials to customers. The approach used in the pilot was embraced by ICBC employees and customers, and the results were incredible. During the pilot, thousands of customers registered their decision on organ donation. And based on this huge success, starting today, the remaining 14 ICBC driver's licensing locations throughout BC will start organ donation awareness programs. Registering an organ donor is one of the most selfless decisions that anyone can make. It's a very difficult moment for families losing a loved one. but the pain of losing a loved one is eased just a little bit with the amazing gift that is given, the gift of life. Currently, more than 600 people are desperately waiting for organ donation in BC. They're on waiting lists, waiting to receive a match for a life-saving organ transplant. These include lung, heart, kidney, liver, and more. Transplant surgeries in BC take place at one of 3 transplant centers, Vancouver General Hospital, St. Paul's, and here at BC Children's Hospital. Following the surgery, transplant patients are followed for the life of their transplant. And while we're making strides forward, we know that more can be done to further increase both awareness and to encourage folks to sign up. This is such an important program as it leads to more British Columbians receiving life-saving organ transplants. Just consider this. 1 donor can save up to 8 lives. Imagine if you or your family member or close friend was in need of an organ transplant. To receive this incredible gift of life is immeasurable. In a moment, we'll hear from Elaine Yong, who will tell us her personal story of why organ donation was such an tremendous importance to her and her family. These personal stories drive home the importance of the program. BC's Organ Donor Registry is the official registry for your wishes regarding organ donation. You only need to register your decision once. And with compassion and collaboration, BC Transplant is working to save lives and offer hope through organ donation, transplant, and research. People across BC are receiving the gift of life thanks to this vital, powerful work. I really want to thank you, Ed, for your work at BC Transplant, the Ministry of Health, and our Minister of Transportation, Minister Todd Stone, a great advocate for organ donation. And it is through this increased awareness campaigns, we're really reaching out and trying to encourage folks to go to the BC Transplant website to register their decision. If you're not sure, again, just go to transplant.bc.ca. It only takes a few minutes. You just need to put in your care card number. It'll come up and let you know if you're registered or not, and it really only takes a couple minutes. So again, if you're not sure, if you're not 100% certain you're registered, please go to the BC Transplant website. By increasing awareness and increasing the number of registrations on BC Transplant, we will save lives in British Columbia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So now I'd like to introduce Leanne Appleton, who's the BC Transplant's Provincial Executive Director, who can speak to the real benefit of people registering their decision on our organ donor registry.
Thank you, Ed, and good morning, honored guests. It's my pleasure to be here today as we announce this great expansion of our partnership with ICBC. As an agency of the Provincial Health Services Authority, BC Transplant's mandate is to increase organ donation, reduce the time our patients are waiting for transplant, and improve how we deliver care to transplant patients and donor families. All of this work is done with partnerships with our health authorities, transplant centers, our regional transplant clinics, our critical care community, donor hospitals, and of course, our community partners. It is because of these great partnerships and a lot of hard work and commitment from many people around the province that BC Transplant once again had record-setting numbers for both organ donation and transplant last year. In 2016, 423 people in BC received life-saving transplants. For a second year in a row, the number of deceased donors was also up, and BC's deceased donor rate is now above the national average. A record number of British Columbians received heart and lung transplants last year as well. More than 80,000 people registered their decision on organ donation last year, which brings the number of British Columbians who have registered to more than 1 million. These numbers show that we are seeing a culture shift when it comes to organ donation in this province. And we need to continue this important work because there are still many British Columbians who haven't yet registered. It's our hope that with continued support from partners like ICBC, that we can continue to make this shift. Together, we are creating more conversations about organ donation in our communities, in our workplaces, and at home with our families. The more conversations we have about organ donation, the more individuals register their decision, which in turn leads to more transplants for people waiting for a second chance at life. Thanks very much.
Good, thank you, Leanne. And now to our partner, the Insurance Corporation of British Columbia, who we are so pleased is rolling out this program at all their driver licensing offices across the province. Please welcome Jeanette Carusi, the ICB Manager of Operations and Customer Service.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be here representing ICBC and talking about this fabulous partnership we have with BC Transplant. Last year we ran a successful pilot in 4 of our locations, as mentioned from Greg, our Abbotsford, our Royal Centre downtown, Kelowna and North Vancouver locations. Employees at those offices piloted, and the result was over 15,000 new registrants that were directly linked to conversations we had with our customers in the driver licensing offices. So we know that this program makes a difference and it saves lives. I've been personally involved in some of those conversations and have witnessed our employees talking to customers and seeing the reactions, and it's been absolutely incredible to see. Some of our customers have been so appreciative that we're encouraging all British Columbians to register their decision. They can't help but share their own personal stories with their own friends and families and colleagues about all the stories about organ donation. It's been a very touching experience for all of us involved in this pilot, and we're very excited. Our team's excited to see us expand, so we've done the four locations as of tomorrow morning. We will be rolling out to our remaining 14 locations, where everybody will wear our t-shirts and promote this fabulous partnership with BC Transplant. So thank you very much for being here today, and thank you for everyone making a difference.
Good, thank you, Jeanette. Finally, I'd like to introduce Elaine Yong and Addison, who received her heart transplant here at BC Children's in 2011.
I think she might be a little too short for this microphone. And you got to talk really loud, okay? Okay. Well, Addison, when I told her last night that we were going to be coming to this event and we were going to talk about transplant, I asked her to tell me to think about what she had done in her lifetime that she thought was really cool, the most exciting thing, the most fun, the most interesting. And she said, I need to think about this. She had to think about it, She's done a lot in her almost 6 years of life. So what did you come up with, Addison? She's wearing something. What is this?
This is a medal
From what?
from the World Transplant Games.
Oh, wow. That's a gold medal. And that's from the World Transplant Games in Argentina in 2015. And Addison was 4 at the time. She was the youngest competitor there. And I have to tell you, it was a pretty amazing, magical moment to watch her do her 25-meter run. And, it was one of those moments where everyone in the track stopped and actually they paused all the other events, so she was the only competitor. Okay, so that's kind of why she got the gold. But it is a worthy gold medal. And you know what else she said to me last night? She said, you know what? I like having a heart transplant because I get to go to the World Transplant Games. And I kind of laughed because I thought that is a really great 5-year-old logic, right? I love having a heart transplant because I get to compete at the World Transplant Games. But she's not totally off, because in many ways, without her transplant, well, not in many ways, in all ways, without her transplant, she wouldn't get to go to the World Transplant Games, but she also wouldn't get to go to kindergarten. She wouldn't get to play with her little sister. She wouldn't get to eat ice cream. She wouldn't get to do any, do you want to say something? She wouldn't get to go to Hong Kong to visit her cousins. She wouldn't get to go to Paris to eat macarons. There is basically everything that she has done since she was 25 days old is only thanks to the incredible gift of life that we were given by her donor and her donor mom saying yes in a time of terrible tragedy for them. So we are so grateful that we are able to have all these experiences with Addison. She's learning to ski, she's learning to skate, she likes swimming. Everything, like every moment of every day, every second is because of organ donation. Now, we found out that Addison had a heart defect when we ended up here in the ER at BC Children's Hospital, and she was 3 weeks old. She was in near complete heart failure, and they told us that transplant was her only hope for survival. So we needed somebody to be like all that we're asking today. We need people to register, to sign up, to have the conversations with their loved ones. That's what we needed almost 6 years ago when we were in the emergency room here at BC Children's, and we were so fortunate that we were given that chance. So we're here because we're marking a really exciting partnership between ICBC and BC Transplant, and the whole goal is to get more people registered. So I think about all the people like Addison who have been given that second chance, who are able to grow up. Then I think about all the other people who have received organs, the parents, the grandparents, the great-grandparents who now get to watch their kids grow up, their grandkids grow up, their great-grandkids grow up, and that's only thanks to people saying yes. So this is our message for the 80% of people who are still not registered in this wonderful province. Even though the vast majority of people support the idea of organ donation, please have that conversation today. There's never a good time to discuss these kinds of things, but let's start talking about it. Make it normal, make it part of society, make it part of the end of life. Have that discussion. Next time you're in an ICBC office, pick up a form, pick up forms for your kids, register your children. And you know what, you can be a hero. And at a time of great tragedy for your family, you can leave a legacy of life behind. And how incredible would that be? Where are we going in June?
Spain.
What are we doing in Spain?
Going to the World Transplant Games again.
Thank you, Addison. And thanks for the reminder of how organ donation can directly affect people and their families, and why we'd like to see every British Columbian registered in the Organ Donor Registry. Your words also serve as a good reminder for all of us. If you've not registered your decision, you can do so online at transplant.bc.ca or at our registration desk, which we have set up right over there. You could save a life. So that brings the official part of the announcement to an end. Once again, thank you all for joining us today, and we look forward to reporting out in the near future on the impact that this important provincial partnership will have on the number of registered donors in our provincial organ donor registry. Thank you.